Okay, cool. That looks nice.
Thanks,
And
bro.
that's what's the name of the your logo?
Right there, that's my little
Your
Rocky plug.
pal,
Yeah, it's my pal Rocky. Rest in peace. That's
Rocky. That's it.
yeah. He helps me out. Always makes sure I got a smile on my face. He got my back.
Sweet. Nice, nice. All right. So thank you everyone for coming today, and let me introduce the man of the hour. So I want to take this time to introduce Sebastian Bleak. Sebastian is an LA-based graphics scientist, training and support lead over at Astute Graphics in the UK. Although most people know him for his focus on vectors, he has a weekly project called Never Stop Learning, focusing on the basics of Photoshop and Illustrator in the Creative Cloud with appearances of other Adobe applications. He has now gone beyond 210 weeks and shows no signs of slowing down. Check out his YouTube channel or hashtag Adobe Grind for the latest updates. Let us all welcome Sebastian now.
Hey, thanks, guys. Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me over, Andrew. Been wanting to do this for a while. So, yeah, like Andrew said, go ahead and check out my YouTube channel, Sebastian Bleak, or any of your favorite social media feeds. Look up the hashtag Adobe Grind, and you'll get a little peek into what I'm working on. And the YouTube channel, like you said, you're going to be seeing stuff between Photoshop and Illustrator, but because I'm in the Creative Cloud, you're also going to see some other applications in there as well. All right, since Andrew wanted me to show off some of the work I've been doing, this is one of the pieces I did. It's a little Grandpa Munster. I'm really proud of this guy right here because for those of you guys who know Rick Miller, he actually invited me to bring this into his gallery, and right now it's showing over at the Surf Club Art Gallery over on Hollywood and Cahuenga. So go ahead and check that out if you're in the area. And really, it's just a big honor for me because there's a lot of great artists showing their artwork there. So it was just great for me to be invited and show with those guys. A lot of my stuff kind of is just based off of things that I liked in my childhood. So Munsters is a big thing for me. This is Lily Munster giving somebody the evil eye for talking about her family crazy. This is Eddie Munster. Pretty much I really identified with this guy in elementary school. I just thought I was Eddie Munster for the longest. So this guy's really cool. It wasn't all about the Munsters. I also did some Twilight Zone stuff. As a kid, I didn't get the shows as much, but I liked the vibe of them and all that. Now that I'm older, I enjoy them on a whole nother level. It's really fun stuff. Then Elvira, just always had a crush on her.
Cool.
Don't have to say anything more about that. This guy, if you know who he is, you're awesome. Shoot me a message after the demo. Then, we
Sounds
do
like
some
Bauhaus.
There you go. Yeah, Peter Murphy right here. But no, then we have Mr. Spock here. I really want to throw these guys in here just to show you guys that I don't do just things in black and white. I tend to start everything in black and white so I could create the luminance values that I need, and then afterwards I'll go in there and just start painting. So that's kind of what I did with this guy. Same thing with my buddy Gizmo, and make sure you don't get them wet. And then a little Firefox, just because a fox, like foxes. Anyway, so we'll go ahead and jump right into the demo. Now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be covering keyboard shortcuts,
Nice.
hotkeys, and all that fun stuff, right? So might as well go ahead and get started by the first one, Command-N. Oh, and by the way, I'm on a Mac today. I do use PCs. I'm not against PCs. It's just I'm using a Mac today. So I got my new document up, and in here I'm going to name my document. So let's see, Photoshop and Lightroom, just because, we got to keep this nice and neat. All right, so I got my new document here, and play around with the zooms a little bit. Now, Command plus will zoom you in. Command minus will zoom you out. What I like to do most recently is using the spacebar and command as a modifier. So spacebar command, click and drag towards the right, and I zoom in, and it does that animated zoom for me. Command space back towards the left, and I'm zooming out. So it's kind of just a quick way for me to be able to zoom in and out. Animated zoom. It looks cool. I think that's probably the thing that attracts me to it most. I kind of like how it moves about. All right, so Command 0 just to bring it in full screen. Now, the reason I like using these is I'm trying to get rid of the entire user interface. When I want to come in here, I want to just create. So it's just really me and my artwork. So that means I want to start getting rid of like the panels on the right, or maybe even get rid of all the tools in particular. So the way I'm doing that is you can get rid of the panels by hitting Shift-Tab, and that just gets rid of the panels for you. Shift-Tab will bring them back. If you hit Tab by itself, then it's going to get rid of all of those guys. So this is really helpful for me. Now, I actually don't have access to my tools this way, so let me bring them back. Now, I do have access to them when I'm using my keyboard hotkeys. So over here on the left, we start off at the top, we got the Move tool. When I hover over it, it shows me that if I hit the V key, it's going to activate the Move tool. Now, that one's kind of hard to remember. because, move starts with M. But the way I remember it is I do a hard V for move. So that's usually how I remember the V key for that. I know it's a little trick, but whatever. When you hover over this guy over here, it's going to show you that this is the rectangular marquee tool. So when I think of marquee tool, then the M is going to work for me. That's good. Now, continue on that way. Every time you hover over one of these guys, find out what the hotkey is going to be, move your cursor away from it, and then just hit it. Yeah, at first it's going to take you a couple extra seconds, but in the long run, you're going to be way faster than your competitors, and speed's going to accumulate to money in the long run anyway, right? All right, so we got the marquee tool activated. Now I want to activate the lasso tool. So I'm going to hit the L key on my keyboard, and that activates the lasso tool. All right, again, it's going to trick you again because the next tool is the quick selection tool. No, it's not Q. It's actually going to be W. Now, why is it W? That's because in this position, we used to have the magic wand tool at the top of this text. We used to have the W wand. That's how we would be able to remember it. Now, if you want to access guys that are lower in the stack, all you have to do is introduce the Shift key modifier. So remember, W was the one that brought up this stack. So Shift W is going to start digging below in that stack. So if I hit Shift W again, it's going to grab the next tool. Because we only have 2 tools in that stack, we're just going back and forth between those 2 tools. All right, next we got the crop tool. Crop is easy, just hit the C key, and that's going to give you the crop tool. I for eyedropper. All right, and the next one is the Band-Aid tool. Now, it's one of the healing brushes. So we come in here, hover over it, and it shows you that it's a spot healing brush, and it's J. So that one's a little confusing for me as well. But after so many years of using it, I just know that J is going to get me that one. So sorry I don't have a little trick for that one. But the next one, brush, is B. So we go with that one. Then the stamp family, you could do the clone stamp or the pattern stamp by hitting S for stamp. All right, this one is the history brush. So it's not going to be H, but for history, that Y at the end is the Y key that you have to hit to activate it. The eraser is easy because I just think of E for that one. G for gradient. Now the next one, that's the blur tool, right? So is it going to be B or what? And honestly, what's weird, every time I get to this one, I forget what the hotkey for it is. Sally, do you know what the hotkey for it is? Well, when I hover over it to find out, then that's when I realize that actually there's no hotkey for it. So earlier when I was saying that you could access all your tools over here just by hitting the key presses, I kind of lied a little bit. The blur tool, the blur stack, basically you can't access it with the hotkey unless you make some changes in the background. But I don't use it that often. Whenever you need to, just hit the tab key and bring it back and you're good to go. This next guy over here is the dodge tool. Now, the way I remember that it's O is, it kind of looks like an O with a little stick hanging out of it. So if I hit the O key, now I got it activated. Next is the pen tool, so I'm going to hit the P key for that. Type tool, the letter T. And just below that, that guy looks just like the move tool, but it's missing a little bit of the icon and it's a different color. This is actually the selection tool. And it makes me think of Illustrator. And in Illustrator, I use the A key to grab my direct selection tool. So it's a little weird way to get to it, but that's how I remember it. The next one is the shapes. If I hit the U key, it's going to activate it. I don't have a way to remember that one either, other than it's just a weird letter for the shapes. And then we go back to the normal ones again. We got the hand tool, so I can hit the H key for that. Usually I'm just hitting the space bar to temporarily bring it up, but you could hit the H key to bring it up if you need it like to stay sticky. All right, then we got the zoom tool, so that's Z. That's pretty easy. And that's how you access all the different tools. Now, I'm going to go in a little bit deeper, how to start digging around in these guys, but I want to continue on down the tools panel. All right, over here towards the bottom, we just passed the zoom tool, and then we have these little sets, these little functions over here on the bottom left. All right, the first one that I'm looking at is these little double-headed arrow things. Well, I could access that one by hitting the X key. All right, so when I hover over it, it tells me that by clicking on it, it's actually going to switch the foreground and background colors by hitting X or clicking on it, either one. But because I don't want to move my cursor all the way over here, find this really small icon and then click on it, I'd rather just hit X. Every time I hit X, it's going to swap those guys out for me. All right, currently my foreground color is white, my background color is black, and that is not the default. So if I hit the D key on my keyboard, it's going to give me the default appearance of a black foreground with a white background. So check this out. When I hover over this little guy, this small set of color chips, it says that by clicking on it, it'll give me the default foreground and background colors. I could also hit the D key to activate that. Now that's going to come in handy when you're working with masks and stuff like that. The X key is going to give you white. X key again is going to switch it to the opposite color. So as you know, white reveals, black conceals. So it's a quick way to swap back and forth when you're working with masks and stuff like that. Or you come over here to the swatches panel, load in a new color, go ahead and draw that out. But if you want to go back to your default, just hit the D key and you're good to go. All right, now the reason these keys are great as well is, you have to find where your cursor is, your mouse and all that stuff. The keys don't move. They're always in the same spot, so you could access them really quickly. All right, moving on down the road here. We got this guy over here. This is going to be the quick mask mode. I'm just going to hit Q, and notice over here at the top, over here in the little tab, it tells us that we're in quick mask mode. Hitting Q again is going to get us out of that mode. The very last in the tools panel is going to be this set here, and this is for your screen mode. Now, honestly, I almost never click here. I can't, unless I'm demoing, that's when I actually click on this, and I'll show you why. I'll click on it once, and it switches modes, right? This is a pretty cool mode. I click on it again, and then I get this warning message here. So we got to read this warning thing here. In full screen mode, panels are hidden. They can be accessed on the sides of the screen or revealed by pressing tab. So it's talking about the panels over here on the right and the tool panel over here on the left. We could grab them by hitting tab or just by hovering over them, and I'll show you that in a sec. Then we have, while in full screen mode, you can return to standard screen mode by pressing the F key or escape. So either one of those is going to get you out of this, this full screen mode. You could tell it not to show you this again, hit cancel if you just want to back out and say, never mind, I don't want full screen mode. But when you click on this blue button right here that says full screen, guess what? You're in full screen mode now. All right, so when I hover over on the right, it brings up my panels. And then when I hover away from it, boom, they're gone. That's awesome. If I come over here to the left, it brings up my tools. When I hover away from it, boom, that's gone too. We've completely eliminated the user interface. This is a great way to work. But it kind of freaks me out sometimes because I don't know how to get out of here. I got to bring this guy up and make sure to find this. Quickest way to do it is just hit an escape or the F key. All right, so let me run through those screen modes again one more time. If I hit the F key, now it switches us over to this awesome isolation mode where I could move this about. I'm not focused on any other application on my computer. I'm just looking at Photoshop right now. All right, Command 0 to bring this in full screen. F for full screen mode, and now I don't see the user interface anymore. If I want to bring up any of the tools, just hit tab, there you go, or shift tab to just bring up your panels. All right, escape to get out of that, tab to bring everybody back to normal, Command 0 is going to bring me back into full screen. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about for tools is different ways you could access these guys in the stack. All right, currently I have the lasso tool activated, right? You see it over there in the top left? All right, cool. So if I hit Shift L, now I'm starting to access the other tools that are in that same stack. So all you have to do is introduce the Shift modifier along with the hotkey for that stack, and you're going to start digging in there. So Shift L again brings up the magnetic lasso tool. Shift L again brings us back to the original guy that was on top. All right. So that's how it works by default. There's another way to work though. All right. On most of your Adobe applications, if you hit Command K on your keyboard, that's going to bring up your preferences. All right. If you come over here to the left, you see this little guy right here that says Tools. Click on that. And that's going to give us these options. This is the one I wanted to show you. Right here it says Use Shift key for Tool Switch. All right. This is on by default, but I'm going to uncheck this and then click OK. And now it's going to change the behavior. All right. So currently I have the lasso tool activated. I'm just going to hit the L key, and it's going to cycle through. Every time I hit the L key by itself, it cycles through the different ones in that stack. All right, so if I hit the I key now to activate the eyedropper, every time I hit the I key, it's going to cycle through all the different tools in there. So I. There it is. Now, to go back in there and switch it to how it was by default, I actually like this feature, but because I'm always jumping around in different machines and I'm borrowing other people's machines and stuff like that, I tend to just use the default version. So Command K to go back into the preferences. Don't forget, you want to find tools. Once you have tools, turn this guy on right here. Use Shift key for tool switch. Click OK, and it's going to reset it to how it was by default. All right, there we go. That's all the accessing the tools and stuff that I wanted to talk about. Are there more keyboard shortcuts for them? Yes, but I don't want to go through all of them. It'll be a really long demo. Plus, I want to make sure Andrew invites me back. Maybe we'll do this into a two-parter or something, you know? All right, cool. Next, let's talk about how to edit text. All right, I want to activate the Type tool by hitting the T key on my keyboard. All right, so I've already had this guy activated. Take a look over at the top. The option bar changed up a bit, and now it's giving me all these different options for when I'm working with type. All right, so I do a lot of type stuff. My background before T-shirts was flyers and stuff like that, so I'm really text heavy with my stuff. So I'm going to click here once in the center of my document, and there you go. I could already start typing in something. So with my cap lock turned on, I'm going to type in Adobe Grind. All right, get rid of that caps lock. And I still have that little cursor flashing right there, right? So I'm not out of text editing mode just yet. What I want to do is I want to change the size of this. It's a little small for me, and I actually want to see what I'm working with. All right, so there's several different ways to adjust the sizing for your text. So the first way I want to show you guys is by holding down the Command key. Now you have access to this little transformation box around here, right? Now if I grab one of these corners, I'm going to just click and drag on this guy, and now I'm resizing it. All right, moving this guy around. Look at that. I'm going to hit Escape to undo that. Click in here and just type it in all over again. Adobe grind. All right, Command key. Click and drag this dude out. There it is. Now it's updating for me. Currently, the way I'm stretching it out, I'm not keeping this proportional, and that's not really what I want. I'm hold down the Shift key. There you go. Everything looks nice and neat. So I'm holding down Command, I'm holding down Shift, I'm holding down the mouse, and then I'm moving out in this corner, right? If I introduce the Option key, now it's drawing out from the center. Check that out. All right, so it stayed right where it was. Now I'm able to resize this guy. I'm going to release the mouse first, then the modifier keys. Now, the reason I'm not worried about stretching this guy out or it getting pixelated or anything like that is this is live text. Live text, think of it as an application inside of an application because it's still live. So it's kind of wrapped up in some kind of vector technology. So it's not even worried about pixels. You can stretch this guy as much as you want and it'll be fine. Once you rasterize it, then you're dealing with pixels and you're going to run into some problems. All right, what I want to do now is accept this change. The way I could do that is Command-Enter on my keyboard. And there you go. I already got this guy ready to go. Problem is, it's not the font that I want. I want to change this font. Instead of going to the top in the options bar, I'm going to just hit the return key on my keyboard and notice that the font is now highlighted over there in the options bar. So I could just come in here and type Impact. Let's see, I got this guy right here. Return to accept it. And it already updated right here on my screen. Here, let me just move this guy over real quick. I'm holding down the Command key to reposition this guy. The reason I'm doing that is once I let go of the mouse and let go of the Command key, it gives me right back to the text tool. All right, cool. So I have the text tool activated. I want to change the font again. Return. This time I'm going to go with Doc Heavy. Go ahead and select it. Hit Return. Boom. We're good to go. Now, there's another way to change size. This one I don't do too often unless I am playing around in the options bar already. The way you could access the size just using your keyboard is hit Return and then Tab. Once you tab over, you're over there in the text size. Now, the reason I don't use this one too much is check this out. I'm going to hit the Shift key and then the down arrow key a couple times. So that's moving me in multiples of 10, right? But there's no change happening. The change happens when I hit Return. Then it goes ahead and updates that for me. So I got to hit Return, Tab, and then Shift up a couple times to get a new measurement. Right around 200 looks good. Hit Enter, and there you go. So now I'm back into this. All right, my favorite ways of editing this guy is actually when I'm in the little text editing mode. So over here in the Layers panel, a quick way to do it is just double click on this little T here. Usually you have a thumbnail. Just double click on it. The reason I like doing that is it selects all of my text in there. It already has it selected. I'm in that text editing mode and I'm good to go. The other way, I think I have to press like 5 or 6 clicks on the text itself to make it happen or something. I forget. Anyway, this is the way I like to do it. All right. I'm looking at this, and the first thing I want to do is center justify this text. I'm not really happy with how it looks. So to center justify it, Command-Shift-C for center. There it is. Now it's center justified. Take a look over there in the top in the options bar. What if I want to right justify it? Command-Shift-R. For left, Command-Shift-L. All right, so back to center, Command-Shift-C. And there you go. And yeah, there's some more keyboard shortcuts, but those are the main ones. Now, if I hold down the Command key, I get this little move tool action. I could click and drag to bring it right back. I'm going to go ahead and release all that stuff, and I'm back in the type tool. All right, so that's more of those hotkey stuff, right? Another way I like to change the size, and this is probably my favorite one because I can see it happening in real time. We're going to be using Command-Shift, and we're also going to be using the greater than and less than keys. Now, I'm using an American English keyboard here, so the less than key is sharing the same space as the comma key, and the greater than key is sharing the same space as the period key. All right, so I'm going to do Command-Shift greater than to make this guy larger, Command-Shift less than to make it smaller. All right, see how that works? That's awesome, right? Now, earlier we were talking about zoom stuff. That was kind of what I started off on, but I want to show you another zoom feature that some of my students were kind of surprised about this week. So Command-Shift greater than. All right, that's pretty big, right? But I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to overdo it. Just keep overdoing it. Sally knows this is how I do it in real life. I just overdo it. All right. Currently, I don't see all this stuff. So what I'm going to do is hit Command-0. And now it's going to show me all of that stuff because this text is being transformed. The transformation is larger than my document, so it wants to show me that transformation. Now, if I hit Command-Shift less than to bring this guy back down, or check this out, I could even use Command-Shift and then start dragging these guys in. Oops, sorry about that. I did the wrong one. Let me go back in here. Double-click on this dude. There we go. Command, click, drag, hold down the Shift key and the Option key to resize this guy. All I'm trying to do now is make the text smaller than the document. Because check this out. When I hit Command-0, now it's using the boundings of the document. Earlier, it was using the boundings of my artwork because it was in transformation mode. So Photoshop is smart enough to be like, I'm going to look at the biggest one first and focus on that one whenever he hits Command-0. All right, so again, to resize this guy, Command-Shift greater than for larger, Command-Shift less than to make it smaller. Now, take a look at the leading. I actually want to make a change there. It's a pretty big gap there. If I hold down the Option key and the up arrow key, I make a mess of things and I freak out. And well, anyway, that's how it happened the first time I saw it. I was like, this doesn't even work. So Command-Z is a very important keystroke because that's the one that's going to undo stuff for you. What I want to do is bring up this little character panel here to show you guys what's really going on. Well, over here in the upper right, this is where we're going to affect our leading. Now, currently it's set to auto. So if I use that keyboard shortcut that I showed you guys, Option and like the down arrow key or the up arrow key, it's going to add a new value, and it's going to go directly to that value. So look, if I use up, it's at 0 now. That's why it's right on top of each other. If I use down, it's at 10. And every time I hit down, it's adding more and more to it. So that's pretty cool. I get to actually see it happen in real time. And I get to Goldilocks it and be like, all right, that looks pretty good right about there. All right, now that we've got the leading out of the way, let me move this guy. Next, what I want to show you guys is the scarier part because Sally's watching. So I'm going to be talking about kerning and tracking. So I wasn't looking forward. I was looking forward to this till I realized Sally's going to be looking over my shoulder the whole time. All right. So what you do with the tracking is hold down the Option key, and if you use the right arrow key, you're actually going to increase the space between all the letters that you have in your selection. So when we're dealing with tracking, we're talking about multiple spaces between multiple letters, right? Option left arrow key is going to bring these letters closer. So we're getting them nice, snugged in right there. Everybody's a buddy. Nice and friendly in there. There you go. Now, when we're talking about kerning, we're talking about the individual space between two different letters. So right here, this is probably driving Sally crazy right here. So I'm going to click right there. Now we're just in between these two letters. Option, right arrow key. There you go, just to kind of open up the gap a little bit more. And then that's already looking funny. But you know what? I'm going to make it worse just because Sally's watching. There you go. I'm going to mess it up. There you go. And Command-Enter is how you could accept your changes. There you go. That's going to drive Sally nuts. So let's just look at that for a little bit. All right, cool. Now, that's what I had for text, you guys. If you guys have any questions on the text thing, I'll be happy to go over it a little bit more. There are obviously some more keyboard shortcuts for it, but I wanted to just kind of introduce you to some of the main ones in there. The next thing I want to jump into, if it's cool with Andrew, is start talking a little bit about layers, some keyboard shortcuts that we have with layers. All right, cool.
Sounds good to me.
Thanks, bro. Over here on the bottom.
You're doing great.
Thanks,
this is fantastic. Lots to take in.
Cool.
Good thing this is being recorded for everybody.
Yeah. Sorry for you advanced folks. I hope this is like a back to basics things for you guys. And like, this is just the fundamental stuff that for me, like I got to get this stuff down. So I'm glad you guys are digging it. All right.
It's a lot. It's good. Thank you.
Now we're going to jump into layers. Now, most of the stuff we've been doing has to do with our tools and how those guys function. A lot of times we do have to do some digging into our panels. So let me liberate you guys a little bit. I'm going to liberate you guys from the layers panel. All right. Now, currently I have the Adobe Grind layer highlighted at the moment, right? A lot of times we need to make a copy of the layer that we're on. So, everybody knows this. I know Gaetano knows this one. Command-J. Is going to make an exact copy of the one we have right there. No interruptions. We got an exact copy of it. If I command, click and drag, check that out. It made an exact copy of the one I had. That's fantastic. I'm going to Command Z to undo that. Oh, and also Command Option Z will do several undos for you. And you'll be able to see those guys over here in your history panel. All right. So if you want to come back to maybe this guy, just use Command Option Z. All right. So now I've made a copy of this guy. But there's sometimes that you want more control over than just like chucking it over the fence like that. All right, so this is a little shout out to Andrew. He wanted me to make sure that I threw this keyboard shortcut in there. So everybody get your notes ready. So when we're going to make a...
Sebastian?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but before you go on, you're just going to have to fix that kerning or you're driving Sally crazy.
I know, right? I know. So. Here. All right, sorry, Sally. Let me get in there. Let me go. There we go. I just clicked on it once, you guys. I brought it over. There you go. I'll go ahead and accept that one.
There we go.
And let me just get rid of the original one. There we go. So now we're looking at this guy, okay? Hopefully that's a little bit better. There's more work to be done in there, but at least you won't go too crazy. All right, so Command J makes a copy of it. Notice it says Adobe Grind copy. But if I hit Command Option J, this is Andrew's shortcut right here, it's going to give us way more control over the copy we're creating. We could actually name it so we could get better track of it. You know, you guys want to make sure you're practicing good document hygiene in here, right? So in here, I'm going to put thanks Andrew, because this is his little request in here. Next, it shows us that we could use this as we could use the previous layer to create a clipping mask. If we color code it, you know, again, keeping everything nice and neat in here. You could change blending modes already from the jump, and you could even set it to a specific opacity value if you need to. All right, so I'm gonna leave it set like this, click OK, and I'm good to go, right? Take a look over here on the bottom right in the layers panel. I've got that Thanks Andrew layer created. I have an exact copy of my Adobe Grind, and I have that original one. All right, there's gonna be a bunch of cases where you wanna create a blank layer. Now, what's weird about creating a blank layer is the keyboard shortcuts are a little bit much at times. If you just wanna create a blank new layer, what you have to do is Command Option Shift N, all right? And that'll create a blank layer for you. I'll admit I don't use that one as much as I use the next one. The one I use more often is gonna be Command Shift N, all right? The reason I like that one is, again, it's gonna give me more control over this layer that I'm creating. So I'm gonna be able to name it whatever I want. So right here, whatever, let's see, I should probably name it right. Whatever I want. There you go. Enter on my keyboard. Boom. Over here on the right, it's ready to go. So that's several different ways you could work with your layers. You don't have to always find your mouse, bring it over towards the bottom right, click on that button. I know it doesn't sound like much, but man, if you're like a speed retoucher or if you're really trying to get stuff done fast, just being able to use the keyboard is really going to help you out. And it's going to get you hired more, trust me. All right, cool. So that's creating layers and copying layers. What about moving them around and targeting these guys? All right, so I'm going to set up a little stunt for myself right here that I got to do. All right, a little obstacle course, I guess. All right, over here on the bottom right, we got the layers panel. I want to grab that layer that says Adobe Grind. Not Adobe Grind copy, not whatever I want. I want to grab Adobe Grind. So first I want to target it. When I'm targeting different layers, in my mind, I already know I have to use the Option key. For you PC users, it's the Alt key. So I'm going to hold down the Option key, and the other set of keys that I'm going to use for that is going to be the brackets. All right, so I'm on an American English keyboard. Just to the right of the P key, I have the left and right brackets, or the open and closed brackets, depending on who you are. I pretty much say either way. All right, just to the right of the P key, you have your open and closed brackets. So I'm going to hold down the Option key. Now I'm just going to try the right bracket, and it brings me all the way to the bottom. If I hit it again, it brings me to Adobe Grind, which is the one I'm looking for. So again, holding down Option and the right bracket key is going to move you one location up in the stack of this layers panel. All right? I'm going to hold down the Option key, and this time I'm going to switch over to the closed bracket. So it's the one on the left, the one closest to the P key. I'm going to hit it once. Notice it moves down one location. I'll hit it again, again, again. So now I got my Adobe Grind guide targeted. This is awesome, exactly what I needed. So that's how you could target different layers just using the keystrokes. All right, now I want to move this guy to the top of the stack. Well, there's a couple different ways you could work with this. Instead of using the Option key, because that's targeting, these are options for that, right? I want to command that layer to move locations. So I'm going to use the Command key, or if you're on a PC, I guess it's Control. And you're going to use those same bracket keys, so it's all connected. All right, so with the open bracket, the closed bracket, I'm going to be able to move it up one location. The closed bracket's the one on the right. Click on it again, again, and now it's at the top of the stack. If I use Command and the open bracket, that's the one on the left, that's going to start moving it down in the stack, down one more time. All right, cool. Now, if I introduce the Shift modifier, check this out. Command, Shift, right bracket. It just threw it all the way to the top of the stack. What if I want it at the bottom of the stack? Well, Command, Shift, left bracket. We'll throw it to the bottom of the stack. Well, if you're wondering why it didn't go below the background, well, the background isn't technically a layer. It's really a background. It's always going to be in the back. That's why it's a background, and it's locked down and all that stuff. Oh, quick little shortcut for you guys. I saw a couple of you guys are on Creative Cloud. There's a new feature. Hover over this lock, click on it once, and it automatically turns it into a regular layer. All right, so I'm going to undo that, Command Z. You don't have to double click on it and do all that stuff anymore. You can just click on it once. All right, back to this guy. Adobe Grind. I want to throw it all the way to the top. So Command, Shift, right bracket. Now it's at the top of the stack and everything works great. Now that's all I wanted to talk about for the layers, moving them around and all that stuff. But like I keep saying, there's more shortcuts. I just don't want you guys' brains to explode. So next thing I want to do is over here at the bottom of the layers panel. See this guy right here? I'm actually going to
Hey,
add...
Sebastian.
Yo, what's up?
Sebastian.
Yes, sir.
Too late, my brain exploded.
What you got, bro? It's too late. It's too late.
You want to take a couple quick questions, though?
Sure. What you got?
Okay, cool. So Joe, I don't know if it's his real name, but Joe Blow says, is there a shortcut to center a layer to another layer?
Let's see. I would do that as a, let me see, and you can jump in here too, Andrew. If you think. I would set it up as an action.
The move tool?
Yeah, definitely. I would. What I would do is I would set that up as an action if I wanted it as a keyboard shortcut type of thing. So see right here, I have Adobe Grind selected. I'm going to use the Command key and click on the background layer. So that way I have both of these guys targeted. Then it's giving me access to these guys over here along the top, right? So if I use this center one and then this center one, it's going ahead and moving those. What I could do is actually record that as an action. So I'm just going to undo that. Over here under the window menu, scroll down and you find your actions. All right, cool. So now that I have my actions up, usually I'll probably get rid of the default actions, maybe create a new folder or something like that. Let me see, call this one Andrew because he's my buddy. All right, and then tell it that I want a new action. And in here, this is where the fun starts. We're talking about key commands for this, right? So I'll name this one like a line or something so that way I'll know exactly what it is. This is set for Andrew that I'm going to share with him later. I'm going to send it to his Dropbox or something. Then over here where it says function key, I can switch it over to any of these function keys that I want. So let's say F5. And I bet you some of you guys are freaking out. You already use F5 for something. Well, what if we add a shift modifier? Well, maybe shift F5 is already taken. What if you do command shift F5? And that way, every time you use that key command, it'll do the align that we're about to record. So you could even color it something. I think for my align stuff, I think I use blue. So I'll go ahead and record that. I have these guys highlighted. I'll use this step. Notice it's being recorded over here in the actions. And then once I'm done, I could just go ahead and hit stop and then just replay this whenever I need to afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and trash this guy so it doesn't mess me up later on. But hopefully that goes ahead and answers that question for you guys. Hope that helps. All right, let's see.
Can you one more from Joe?
You got it.
He wants to know how to move one layer from one group, or work group as he calls it, to another work group.
Oh,
Is there
man.
something possible?
As a keyboard command?
There's a shortcut for that.
I haven't tried it. I know you could do a click and drag to drop it in there. I'll figure it out. I'll look into it. As of right now, I don't know if that one exists, but I'll look for it.
I don't think it does, though.
Yeah.
I think it would be a little too much for the Photoshop gods to make.
I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible, but
Yeah,
I'll make a note of it and just keep going. Joe, we'll make a note of it.
Yeah, cool.
Excellent.
So for now, what I do is if I have multiple groups in my layer stack, what I do is I dig into that group and I do a click and drag to drop it into the other group as needed. But yeah, if I do find some more info on that, I'll be sure to post it in the group. All right, so if we don't have any more questions, then I'll start jumping into some blend mode stuff if you guys are up with that. That sound cool? All right. So I'm going to come back over here into the layers panel. Right over here at the bottom, we got this guy here. And what I'm going to add is a little gradient fill. A regular one. You know what? I'm going to make it old school. I'm going to even fill in from black to white. As old school as it gets, right? Oh no, now I can't see what's going on here. Well, remember, we got those keyboard shortcuts that are going to help us out, right? Option is the one that I'm going to use to target a layer. So Option, and I know my brackets, so let me click on one. Oops, I clicked the wrong one, so I'll just use the other one, and that one works great. So I'm in there. I want to move this guy up to the top, Command, Shift, right bracket, and it throws it all the way to the top for me. So those are the key strokes that we were already using, right? Now, I'm going to bring this guy back to the bottom because there's another way to make this guy show up. So here we go. Bring it down one location. I want to target my gradient fill, so Option to help me target that guy, and the right bracket. Cool. So now I'm targeting the gradient fill, and I want to change the blending mode this time instead of messing around with the stacking order. Well, the keyboard shortcut that I want you guys to remember for blending modes is using the Command key and your plus or minus keys. The reason that one's like the most important one to me is it allows us to kind of like, pick and choose, try them all out. So Command plus it's not Command, it's Option. There we go. I'm saying all the wrong ones. It's Shift. I knew it was one of the modifiers. There it is. So it's Shift plus or minus to go ahead and cycle through all the different blend modes right in here. So now I'm on multiply. Shift plus brings us to color burn. Shift plus brings us to linear, and it continues on that way down through the whole stack. If I click on this little drop down menu, check this out. I'm right here in the middle of the stack, but shift minus is going to bring me all the way back until I see normal. All right, so sorry for the confusion. It's shift plus or minus, and that'll cycle through all the different blend modes. Now, the reason I like doing that is I don't always know exactly which blend mode I want to use. But I do have some of my favorites. So that's why I'm going to show you guys these next keyboard shortcuts. So we started off with shift already, right? So if I use shift and then add the option modifier, now I could use something like shift option M for multiply. Take a look over here in the layers panel. It says multiply now. Shift option S is going to give me screen. So now we have the screen blend mode in the layers panel. Shift option O is going to give me overlay. And shift option N is going to give me normal. All right, so if you want to go to a particular one, those are the ones that I would suggest. Yep, there's more out there, but those are the main ones, and I'll show you why they're the main ones for me. Shift option M is going to give me multiply. So I'm going to use multiply whenever I'm doing something when I'm shading, if I want some darkening to happen, right? I'm already in multiply. If that one's not the exact fit, check this out. Shift plus will move me to color burn, but shift minus shows me darken. I could try all these out. So now I'm in this darken color group. If you click on this little drop down menu, notice Photoshop already has them separated for you. All right, so we have normal and dissolve. Right here, darken. This is the darkening group. Lighten is going to lighten everything up for highlights. Right here, this is all your contrast stuff. And then we have difference in colors and stuff. All right, so I showed you shift option M for multiply, shift option S for screen, because now we're going to be over here in this lighten section. Shift option O is going to be for contrast and stuff like that. So now we're in this other color group over here. So it's just a good starting point to get you where you need to, and then use the plus or minus keys to find the exact fit for you. Now, if you're like, I just want to go back to how it was by normal, shift option N, and everything's back to normal to how it was. All right, so that's the blend modes. To the right of that, we have opacity. Now, one of the important things is, take a look right here. I have the move tool activated. You can see it's activated over in the tools panel, and you can also see my cursor is showing you the move tool currently. All right, that's important because if you have a different tool activated, you're going to mess with the blending mode for that tool. And I'll show you how that works later on when we start talking about brushes at the end. All right, back to this guy. If I hit the number 5 key, take a look over here in the layers panel. It actually dropped the opacity down to 50%. If I hit the number 2 key, now it's at 20. 8 for 80. But if you want to get something like really exact, like let's say 13, just do 1, 3 really quickly and it'll take you there. If you want 0 opacity, hit double 0. All right, hitting 0 one time is going to give you 100%. So anytime you hit one of these numbers, it's going to give you like the 10 value of it. So 3 gives you 30, 6 gives you 60. But if you wanted like 78, if you want to be exact, there you go. Just hit 78 really quick. 0 gives me 100%. And there you go. Now, I'm going to move these guys around a little bit. So command and bring this guy down one location. I want to target Adobe Grind. So option and my right bracket key is going to target it. Now, I want to talk about fill a little bit. All right, so let me double click on this. I'm going to mess with Sally a little bit more. I'm going to add one of her favorite effects in Photoshop. She uses this on everything. We're going to add a lot of depth here. We need some size going on here. Maybe that's a little bit too much on the size. And then over here for the altitude, maybe something like 50, just so that we can make sure people could see that there's a bevel emboss going. There you go. That's an awesome effect right there for my buddy Sally. Now, when we're talking about fill, it's actually going to start eliminating the pixels, but because we have our opacity up, it's still going to show us the effects going on there. So to access your fill, just use the shift modifier. All right, so shift 5 is going to drop the fill down to 50%. Shift 3 is going to drop it down to 30%. Shift 0 brings the fill down to 0. So now you have no fill in opacity, but check this out. You get this cool effect where it looks like your background's kind of pushing through a little bit. All right, if you want some of that color to come back, shift 3, like I said earlier, gives you 30. Shift 4 gives you 40, and you can continue on that way. Shift 78, if you want to be really precise. Shift 0 will bring you back to 100% fill. All right, so if you just hit the key, like right now I'm going to hit number 5, that drops the opacity. 0 brings it back to 100%. If I hit Shift 5, that's going to affect the fill. Shift 0 brings it back to 100%. All right, so there you go. That's the blend modes, opacities, and the fill stuff. So the last thing I'm going to jump into is going to be working with your brush, some little hotkeys when you're brushing stuff out. Okay, so I've got the this type guy selected over here. And what I want to do is just add a little mask to it. Here we go. So now we have a mask applied to it. Currently, it's showing me that I have the move tool activated. Well, because I was paying attention earlier, I know that the B key is going to give me the brush tool. Now, my brush size is kind of small. Usually, if I'm working with my Wacom, I just use that little wheel on the side to make it larger or smaller. But I'm working with the trackpad right now on my MacBook Pro. So with that, I'd actually rather use the bracket keys, the ones we were using earlier with the layers and the blend mode stuff. All right, so if I use the bracket key on the right, the one that's closing off the bracket, it's going to actually increase the size of my brush. The left bracket's going to make it smaller, and that's pretty much what you got right there for that. Now, that's a quick way to do it, and it's pretty much universal. I like using it because it also works in Illustrator and stuff like that. But there's another way to work with it, and this is a really cool way. I prefer working this way because I get to see how my brush is actually going to paint, and that's using the heads-up display when you're working with your brushes. Now, the keyboard shortcut that I'm going to give you right now is specific for a Mac. The PC one, I'm sorry, I didn't look it up, so I'm going to have to guess that one a little bit. Now, I'm working on a Mac, and there's this weird little modifier over here on the end, and it says Control. It actually says Control all the way out. So I'm going to Control, Option, click with my trackpad, and then drag. As I drag towards the right, it's going to increase the diameter. As I drag towards the left, it's going to decrease the diameter. All right? Check out my hardness. Right now, I have it at 0, but if I go if I go down, it's going to increase the value of my hardness. And if I go up, it's going to decrease the value of my hardness. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and release that. And now I'm ready to go. I can go ahead and start painting this guy in. Now on a PC, I think it's like a right click option, click and drag, but I'm not sure. Those of you guys that are in the comments over there in the chat, please help each other out. All right. So again, Control on a Mac, Option, click and drag. Towards the right increases, towards the left decreases. But check out this fuzziness. All right. I'm going to bring it to hardness 100%. That's a hard brush right there. If I start, let's say I want it a little bit fuzzy, get a little fuzzier. There we go, starting to look good. Now I'm really getting fuzzy. Now I'm really getting rid of that stuff, right? So just kind of go in there and pick and choose exactly how you want this guy set up. Notice we're not affecting the opacity. I think there's a way in the preferences you can kind of dig around back there and switch this out. But for me, this is going to work out great. I want it to be all the way hard and 100% opacity, and this is a good diameter for me. All right. Now, if you need to make changes, don't forget about your brackets. You got them right here. This looks good. Now, over in the layers panel, check this out. I'm targeting my, my mask itself. And over here on the left, we have the tools panel. And on the bottom, it's showing us the default of a white foreground with a black background. All right, if I were to start painting in, nothing's going to happen because white reveals. All of my design is being revealed currently. If I hit the X key, remember that guy? That's going to swap those two. Now I have black as my foreground. So I could paint in black. And now it's starting to conceal part of my design. So there you go, I got rid of that A. I'm coming over here to get rid of some of this G over here. And there you go. So I was able to conceal this mask using those keyboard shortcuts we talked about earlier. All right, now if I go too far, like, oops, I didn't mean to get all of that. I'm going to hit the X key on my keyboard. And now I'm going to click and drag over because now I'm using white. And white is going to reveal my design in here. So those keystrokes are really important when you're working with masks. Every time you hit X, it's going to switch the behavior. So now, because if you look over in the bottom of the tools panel, now I'm going to be eliminating some of my artwork. If I hit X and then start painting, now I'm going to be bringing some of that artwork back. All right, over here in the swatches panel, I could choose one of these gray values and just have like, you know, partial visibility in here, right? So now it's kind of seeing the artwork. Well, what if I want to go back to the default? Just hit the D key, click and drag. It gives us the default colors again. We don't have to go into the swatches. It already takes care of everything for us. All right, cool. And let's see. That is, oh, the last thing I wanted to mention. I have the B key activated, right? I was already trying to get out of here. Sorry, guys. Over here on the top, take a look. It's showing us the blend mode is set to normal, opacity is at 100%, and the flow is at 100. It's showing us that because we have the brush tool activated. All right, so if you were paying attention during the blend mode section, if I hit Shift Option M, over here in the layers panel, you would expect it to turn into multiply, but look, it says normal. Why? Well, because I have the brush tool activated, so we're affecting the blend mode for this brush. We're able to blend this in with the blend mode of multiply or screen or overlay, whatever it is that you want. Or you want to bring it back to normal, Shift Option N, and you're able to cycle through those guys really quickly. Shift plus will go through them. Shift minus goes back in the other direction. So because I have the brush tool activated, I'm affecting that blend mode. Next, if I were to hit the number 5 key, I'm affecting the opacity for the brush, not the layer. Over here in the layers panel, everything is normal. So if I hit 0 again, it brings me back to 100%. Now, if I want to affect the flow, introduce the shift key. Shift 5 is going to bring it down to 50%. Shift 0 is going to bring it back to 100%. All right, so if you want to affect the layers now, I'm going to hit the V key. Notice in the tools panel, it's activating the move tool. Shift option M gives me multiply. Shift option S gives me screen. Shift option O gives me overlay. Shift option N. And those are affecting the actual layer blend modes. So there you have it, folks. That's the demo I have prepared for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Last thing I wanted to say is I guess I know it's Costa Rican Mother's Day today. So shout out to everybody out there in Costa Rica, all the Costa Rican mamas. Shout out to Alejandra. And big shout out to my Costa Rican mama, Miss Maria Jose, out over there. And Sally's our in-house mama right here. She's our San Jose mama.
Excellent, fantastic. Let us see if there's any questions in the group chat.
So while we're waiting for questions, why don't we give him some applause? So you can use that little status up on the dark gray bar at the top, that little person with their hand raised. Choose the arrow next to it, and let's all give Sebastian some applause.
Yay!
Come on, everybody. Applause.
Yay!
Or a bunny rabbit, either one.
Is there a
Good job, Sebastian.
Thanks.
So can I just ask you, because a couple people made comments about it, Sebastian, do you use every one of those, or do you just pick and choose ones that you use the most often? And I'm trusting you to be honest here.
I'll choose option C. I use those and more. So yeah.
You do? Okay, cool.
Oops,
I just dropped my iPhone.
I had this thing stuck in my head that like...
Sebastian, do you want to share your... I was gonna say, did you want to share your screen that has like your link
while
you answer questions?
I appreciate that. Thank you. I forgot where I was at.
Yeah. There we go. No,
that's cool. I had this thing in my head that like I don't know. I wanted it to look like I'm in the Matrix when I'm retouching. I remember just one time seeing. Have you ever seen like a group of retouchers in one area? Those guys go fast, man. So I was just like, how do I do that? And that kind of just started off my quest to figure out the all the key presses that every single one that I could,
So Sebastian, when you're learning, if somebody was going to be learning some of these, do you have any suggestions on how you picked them up? Did you just start memorizing all one area, or did you just pick a few a week? That's what I did. I just wondered what you did. Did you have a method to memorizing all of these for your workflow?
Yeah, the main one, here, I'm going to go back to Photoshop really quick. The first one, if, let's say, whenever I'm working with students and they want to speed up their workflow, the first thing I tell all of them is kind of what I was talking about before. If you're working along and you say, oh, I'm going to grab my mouse and move over here to the lasso tool, please don't click on it. Don't click on it. See that it says L, move the cursor away, and hit the L key. Yes, at first it is going to be a little bit slower. Yeah, at first you're going to hate me for making you do it. But like after a month, man, you're going to be like, I don't even want this. I don't even want that thing there anymore. You're just going to be working with your panels up like this. And it's just way more freeing being able to have your actual work right here and just playing around with that. So first thing is, I would just start with the tools, hovering over them, finding out what they are. And actually the other tip I forgot to mention, thanks Sally, is when I'm dealing with the layers and stuff, check this out. If I go to the layer panel, new, layer, it's going to give me the keyboard shortcut for that. So hit escape and use that keyboard shortcut. Again, it's going to be a little frustrating at first because you just want to do it, but you're going to actually slowly start learning all of those. Same thing for arrange. If you forget all those that I gave you, come under arrange and it'll show you right here how to reposition these guys and move them around. You could always go into, now, if you want to be really nerdy like me, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this. I'll go to the Adobe help website and do a search for keystrokes and study them. I'll print some out and have them. I know everybody has mood boards, right? So I print mine up, put them on my mood board, so I have something to look at and a little reference, right? Everybody has mood boards, right? Right? Or am I alone in this? I'm not, right? Anyway, but that's how I go ahead and I learn all the keyboard shortcuts.
You are alone.
I have mood boards too.
All right, cool.
So
Because I'm looking at two of them right now. Like, I'm not done with them, right?
Sebastian,
Yeah.
Sebastian, a couple questions. Jeff Bourgeois, I think that's how you say his last name. Can you select the effect within the layer?
I'm
Not
sorry?
sure what he means exactly, but
What was that? Can you what?
can you select the effect? Can you select the effect within the layer? I'm not
Oh,
sure
I think I know what
exactly
it means. Yeah, yeah.
by
Let me
that.
see. Let me try that. I didn't even think about that. So I think what it means is like, see right here, I have the effect targeted. I mean, I have Adobe Grind targeted in the bottom right of the layers panel. Well, I think what they're asking is, can I target that effect using my keyboard shortcuts? So I know the Option key helps me target them, and I know the open and close brackets will change the positioning. So if I use the, let's see, nah, it just goes to the next one. Sorry. So right there, I'm gonna hit Option and right bracket. Now I'm targeting the text. I think what they want me to do is target that bevel emboss. So if I hit Option and the left arrow, not the left bracket, it brings me down to the next layer. So when we're working with this, it's targeting specific layers, not the effects. I hope that answers your question. And let me know if I misunderstood.
Great. And then Michael Hernandez asks, how long have you been working with Photoshop?
Let's see. I'm not gonna say how many years because you'll find out how old I am. But I've been playing around with Photoshop since I got all excited when Photoshop 5 came out. So I looked at Photoshop 4 something, but Photoshop 5 was the first one I actually got my hands on. Yep, and I've been using it ever since Photoshop 5 came out. And then they had 5.2 and 5.5 and 5 point something else.
That's because we never stop learning, right?
Exactly,
Sebastian?
exactly. Oh, and that never stop learning thing real quick since you brought that up. That helps me out with these keyboard shortcuts as well, you guys. So I'm now on week 2. Today is the start of week 214 of this project. Every week, Sunday morning, I decide what topic I'm going to study for the entire week. So that means I'm going to be looking at lynda.com videos, looking at videos on YouTube, going to the Adobe Help website, checking out Andrew Kavanagh's Twitter feed, hitting up Sally Cox, seeing if she knows anything on the topic, reading up blogs, all that. I'm doing all that from Monday all the way through to Tuesday, maybe even going to Adobe user groups, hitting up the Photoshop and Lightroom group, stuff like that. And then on Thursday, what I do is everything I learned, I try to create something with it. On WordPress, I'll post up some words kind of telling you guys what pitfalls I ran into, some of the wins that or maybe something that I didn't even know existed. I'll also throw it up on Tumblr. Usually on Tumblr, you'll just see like screenshots to kind of give you a quick idea in case you don't want to read a bunch of stuff. And then I'll also put it up on YouTube so that if you're more of a video person, you could just see me do it. So that's pretty much it. I have these theories. I put these theories to the test. And then I share my notes with the design community with this Never Stop Learning project.
All right, cool. So I posted those. I posted your blog, Sebastian's blog, in the group chat, and a link to Sebastian on YouTube.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Let's see. Tell everyone to search Adobe Grind online as well. So I'll post that in there as a reminder. There we go. Okay, so shall we switch over to the contest layout and give away that one Astute Graphics plugin I believe you have?
On my end, do I just come over here to the Adobe Connect thing? Is that what I need to do? Is this good? Or do I go back to...
So I'm switching it over to the
you.
contest layout.
All right, so you guys know what this contest is about. We're actually
you can
giving
see it in
out...
the middle, and then...
I just want to tell them real quick what the prize is. So we're going to be giving out...
yeah, go ahead. Sorry about that.
No problem. We're going to be giving out Phantasm. So as I mentioned earlier, you guys, I work for a company that is called Astute Graphics. So if you don't mind putting that in the chat right now, it's astutegraphics.com. The plugin we're giving away is going to be called Phantasm. Now, the plugins that Astute Graphics makes are not for Photoshop. These are plugins for Adobe Illustrator. Now, the cool thing about this plugin is it brings in all of your Photoshop adjustments, your color adjustments, into Illustrator. So if you're working in Illustrator, like let's say for some reason you have to work in Illustrator, I know some of you guys don't like it, and you want to make some color adjustments. Let's say you want to adjust the levels. You could do that using Phantasm. Let's say you want to adjust the curves. You could do that using Phantasm. And for those of you guys that saw the banner I created for this event, there's a Photoshop halftone effect in the background. Well, that halftone effect was created using Phantasm. You could use letters, symbols, circles, squares, whatever you want to easily create these halftones. So for me, the best thing is that if I have a hue or saturation adjustment that I've created in Photoshop, I could save that one off in Photoshop, and that little file that's created, I could upload it into Illustrator using Phantasm. So all we're doing is bringing Photoshop into Illustrator for you guys that have to use Illustrator sometimes. So there we go, bro. That's my little spiel on that one.
Perfect. All right, cool. So I'm now going to do the randomizer and the name that I see. It might be different than what you see, but hopefully we'll all see the same thing. I will announce it, and that will be the winner. So let's do that now.
And it spins. Hey!
Gaetano Giordano in Italy.
Gaetano!
Our friend Big G.
Yeah, that was not a setup.
The good thing is I believe that he also uses Illustrator as well, so
bro,
that'll be nice.
We got so much to talk about, bro. Yay! Shout out to ACP.
Gaetano, you use Illustrator too, right?
Excellent. Perfect. So do me a
Congrats,
favor. If you don't mind, send me in the private chat. Just shoot me your email address, and I will get you all set up with your license key and some videos so that you can know how to use it pretty quick.
Yeah, maybe on Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook private chat, so we don't give your email out to everybody.
Yeah, because then everybody's gonna hit you up, bro. They're gonna want to know all about Italy and what it's like. Wonderful life of being an ACP. For those of you guys who don't know what ACP is, what is that? It's a Adobe Certified Professional. Is that what? I forget the letters all the time.
Yes.
Adobe Certified Professional. Boom.
It's Adobe Community.
Community.
Adobe Community Professional.
Oh, there you go. Adobe Community Professional. Sorry, I always get my letters mixed up, man. There you go.
All right, cool. Well, this was quite
great
fantastic.
job today, Sebastian.
Thanks. I just want to do a good job for you guys. It's an awesome group. Then I got these awesome folks around me. I got to do a good job when Sally's around, and then I've been wanting to do something with Andrew for a long time. So I want to make sure I press the group. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fantastic. All right, so if anyone who stays in the group, I'm going to end the recording, but I will post the link to the recording in the group chat in about a minute or two. Otherwise, I will, as I always do, post it in the Facebook Photoshop and Lightroom group, the event page, and in the community group or community on Google+, Photography and Photoshop. So I'll post it everywhere.
Awesome.
So bear with me, and I'll post in the group chat in about a minute. Thanks, everyone, for attending. It was truly fantastic, Sebastian. Thanks. This for sure is one to watch the recordings so we can study up on so many of these great shortcuts.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys having me, and just check out that Adobe Grind hashtag to keep up on all your design fundamentals when you're working in the Creative Cloud. CS6, CS5, it don't matter. All of it's in there. Thanks, guys.
All right, cool.